Talk about interesting stories. Again, 10 years on the road, you see a lot, right? 25 years
Yep.
in the business, you see even more. And so we've got our national trade show, which is now called the PCA, right?
Right.
RTDA when I originally came in, IPCPR, now PCA after the transition. And so it's our largest trade show of the year. And it's the one time of year that I don't come to see you. You actually come to see me.
Right.
And I'm not coming in begging you for money. You're flying out to spend it with me, which is very, very different.
And I've done that.
Yes, you have. And so it's always a good time. But so we're at our trade show last year, and I go walking in. Now I'm different. There you go. There's your other tee it up high, right?
Yeah, I think we knew.
So I tend to view it as a business, and those are days of business and sales, right?
Right.
So I am always and have been repeatedly for multiple years the first guy from our team over on the trade show floor, because at 8 o'clock in Las Vegas, it's 11 o'clock on the East Coast, and so I know who's coming, who's not, and so I'm always on the phone making phone calls at that point in time. Well, I'd gone over, and I was one of the first people in, and so I go over to our booth, and I sit down in the company's booth, and I went to sit down, and I look, and we have chairs, and they're all lined up, literally in a straight line across the middle of our booth. And I was like, well, I wonder why they're not set out. And then it hit me. We were the only booth in all of the cigar industry that did not have tables. So we had no tables set up. All the chairs are stacked, no tables anywhere. And so I immediately text our COO at that point in time. And I went, hey, we got tables, or excuse me, we've got chairs, but we don't have tables, and we open in an hour and a half. And I get a phone call. You've got to be kidding me. I was like, no, I wish I was, but I'm not. And he goes, okay, I'm on it. I was like, all right. So I sit down, not thinking anything of it. Well, I get a phone call 30, 45 minutes later, and it's our COO. And, Whaley, yeah, buddy, has anybody been by with tables? I was like, no, but we've got a much more pressing issue now than we had before. And he said, well, what would that be? He's like, you're trying to ruin this for me. I already have no tables, da-da-da. This is garbage. Please don't make my day any worse. I said, oh, it's going to get worse. And he said, well, what happened? I said, well, I came over to the showroom floor. He said, yes. I said, and I've got a cigar. He goes, yes. I said, and I've got a cutter. He said, yes. I said, I don't have a lighter and nobody else is open, and I don't know what I'm going to do. And he hangs up on me. Evidently not the story he wanted to hear. And that wasn't, he didn't think it as big a problem as I did, which we had a discussion about later. And I moved companies.
But, speaking of moving companies,
yes.
When I got to know you, you were with Epicurio.
Epicurio. Loved them to death. Amazing company.
Great cigar brand. Is still one of my favorite brands.
Mine too.
And you can probably tell everybody, without me even having to mention it, what my favorite cigar of all time is.
The Rebel Rebellious.
It's the Rebellious. And sadly, EPC quit making it, and I'm still looking for extra
Connecticut
boxes.
broadleaf.
But about 5 years ago, not 5 years ago, I'm sorry, about 2 years ago, you found me several boxes and got them for me and brought them to me, and I think there were 5 boxes. And these have 10 cigars in them each box.
Yes.
And my game plan was, I told Chris, I said, oh, man, I thank you so much for having this cigar because I love the Rebellious. So my game plan was to take 4 of those boxes, still in the cellophane, put them in my humidor at home in the bottom, not open the cellophane, and I was going to smoke 1 box and keep the others until maybe 2 or 3 years, and then maybe open another box.
Right.
45 days later, all the cigars were gone. 45 days. I smoked 5 boxes of them, and now I don't have any Rebellious
in 45
again.
days.
So, I mentioned putting those in my humidor at home, which brings up something else. We have lockers here at Holy Smoke, and we've got, I think, 54 total lockers, and most of them are already occupied.
Sure.
But we have some available still. And I will tell you what we do with our lockers, which I think is very cool. And I'm not sure that many other shops do this, but a locker at Holy Smoke Cigars costs you $100 a month to rent, but you get $100 cigar credit each month.
Right.
So it's basically a
Outstanding.
wash. So most guys that smoke cigars are going to smoke at least $100 worth of
Of
cigars
course.
a month.
Now, do you give discount with that?
We do. And what we do is you get the free cigars, and then you get early dibs, first dibs on specials that we do and that kind of thing. So a lot of our regulars who do have a locker, when they see a special come out, they'll buy a box of them up front
Sure.
and stick them in their locker. But talk to me about lockers in general, and what's your opinion of it?
I love it. I absolutely, and on top of that, I love what you all do, but because there's value in it, right? You're not in so many places in so many ways. A lot of times we see lockers, and they're used essentially. You pay for air,
Yeah.
But what you all do that is so different and so unique is the idea that you're not buying a locker, you're buying your cigars. So you're okay, $100 for a locker per month.
Right.
Well, okay, fine, whatever. That's $100 in cigars per month.
Yep.
And you're giving it right back.
Mm-hmm.
So there's no, and then on top of that, you'd be foolish not to get a locker here, right? Because I'm going to spend $100, and on top of that, with my $100, you're going to give me a discount for spending what I would spend anyway.
Right.
I don't understand why you wouldn't, especially because the lockers are going to be humidified, well kept, checked upon. That's you can store anything that you want to in it.
Right.
Just a brilliant idea and business model.
Well, I appreciate that. And one thing that we
Who came up with it for you?
I don't know. Some guy named Chris. His name was Chris Wiley. One thing that we decided to do early on when we put the lockers in is not to allow our customers to bring outside cigars in, and that is not selfish on our part. The reason we don't do that is because I know cases of people bringing outside cigars in, and we don't know where those cigars came from.
Sure.
Now, I don't care that we've got a customer that is spending $100 a month with us on buying cigars, and I don't care that if he comes in here and smokes a cigar from somewhere else. That doesn't bother me a bit. Our customers are loyal. They
Right.
spend money in here.
Right.
But that doesn't bother me. But what is scary about allowing people to bring outside cigars in is if they came from a source where they were in a warehouse for 3 or 4 years or something like that, or they weren't in a warehouse, they were in somebody's locker or humidor at home, and they could get the cigar beetles
Sure,
in them. And
sure.
if they get those in those cigars and they put them in one of our lockers, those things can just infect everything. And we
it's-
have to protect our own investment there.
It's so interesting that you say that, and I was actually going to bring it up. One of the things I lost an entire humidor to it. So again, go back to my roommates. We split. We had a pretty good sized humidor, and we had one guy that we allowed to put and store all of his stuff in there, obviously because he paid for it.
Yep.
So he did, and he wasn't exactly paying a lot of attention to what he was putting in there. And we had the same thing happen.
Yep.
He had brought some stuff back from home.
Yep.
And put them in. We lost every single cigar in our humidor.
Yeah.
500 count humidor. Every single cigar
Yeah.
to beetles and an infestation
Yep.
that we didn't cause.
Yep.
That was just an oversight
Yep.
from something that again wasn't stored properly.
Right.
And taken care of.
Right. And the fact that we do that we put that restriction on it, that does help everybody that puts their cigars in here. They
Sure.
know that they're not going to get an infestation of some sort. And those beetles that can get in cigars, they will also get in the lockers themselves.
Oh, yes, they will. And everything else in the humidor, too.
Yeah, yeah. So, and when we were at our first location, our lockers were in a separate room, 50 feet away from our humidor.
Right.
And we did that. We did differently when we moved into our new location back in August of this year. We actually put our lockers in the entrance room to our humidor. And so they're back there where they're getting the humidity that our humidor supplies, and the lockers we have these veins open in the back of them, and so the humidity actually goes down behind the lockers and gets into the lockers themselves and protects our stock. It protects everybody's cigars.
What do you store everything at?
Where do I store everything?
No, what, like temperature, humidity?
72 degrees and 72%.
Perfect.
And quite frankly, it's not perfect. It's close, but when it gets dry around here in the winter, we have to be sure and stay right on top of that, because I have seen the humidity drop a little bit, but we don't let it drop too much. I mean, if we go in and it's down to 62% relative humidity, we add the water and get it back up, and we have very little problem with cigars drying out here.
Well, and if 20 degrees outside with some ice will crack my windshield, which it did this morning.
Really?
Oh yeah, it was beautiful.
Huh.
Then can you imagine what that does to a cigar at that point in time?
Yeah, it'll run them, and the temperature is very important too.
You better believe it.
I just recently discovered that higher temperature, if it's warmer than 72 degrees, it's better than being lower than 72 degrees. And I honestly didn't know that until a few weeks ago, and I think that producer Bill is the guy that told me about that. I'm pretty sure.
I'm just glad you got his name right.
Yeah.
Me too.
That's it.
Bill the producer.
So what questions do you have?
What
else you got? Fire away.
All right. Let's see here. We've already covered funniest cigar stories. Have I covered the bring a friend for the lockers? Okay. We've got a new thing that we're doing now, that if you have a locker at Holy Smoke Cigars and you bring a friend in and introduce him to the lockers, and he ends up getting a locker, we give you 5 free cigars for just bringing that guy on. Now, all you're doing is helping a friend save get his $100, his first $100 in cigars a month, basically on us. And so we do that, and we do have. I think we've got right now about 15 lockers that are still available. Now these lockers they're lined with the Spanish cedar, and the outside is hardwood. They've got a beautiful finish, and we actually have some guys who keep cigars in those, because quite a few of those guys keep this in there. And the other day I was doing just a really short Instagram video to show our lockers in there. And while Risa was running the video, I go in and I grab a key and I open a guy's locker and I open it up, and it had 6 bottles of liquor in it. It didn't have any cigars, and I went, let's reshoot this and go to another locker.
And by the way, cheers to the Welch brothers.
No joke. And by the way, cheers to you.
Cheers to you, my friend. Thank you for having me up. I sincerely appreciate it, man.
All right, we're going to take a little break, and because according to Bill, I've still got a paper problem.
Try not to spray scotch all over the